Just the end of last year, quick commerce giants faced strikes by 200,000 gig workers demanding an end to 10-minute delivery promise. But DTDC, one of India's biggest logistics companies, not just preempted this problem, it has long been betting on a different model. The 35-year-old logistics company, now back to profitability after investment-driven margin pressure, champions what it calls rapid commerce. That's 4 to 6 hour deliveries through co-located dream stores rather than capital-burning dark stores. In this episode, DTDC CEO Abhishek Chakraborty discusses why their Boston Consulting Group research predicted the labor crisis, how AI handles 88% of DTDC's customer queries, how Tier 2, Tier 3 expansion for the company is outpacing metros, the harsh realities of using electric vehicles for last-mile deliveries, and international growth beyond tariff-hit US markets. Listen on, it's Friday. I'm Anirban Chowdhury. This is the Morning Brief. Hi Abhishek, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Anirban, real pleasure to be here.
Let's start with the top 3 changes, innovations, developments in the logistics sector that have really struck you as something that has influenced the way you work and your peers operate?
It's a great question to start with. I think if I were to just pick a few, I would say one, clearly the technology has reached a scale where now it's actually possible to try to customize or create new experiences for consumers. That's where you see the confluence of quick commerce and rapid commerce, which particularly DTDC has really pivoted a lot towards in the last 1 year. I see generative AI playing a massive role going forward in providing unique customer experiences. The essence of it is the agentic approach where assisted human beings are in a better position to now deal with responses to customers. And I think if I were to call out the third thing, the amount of information and the ability to consume that information and do things with that information have rapidly scaled up, whether it's data-driven things or just experience-driven things. I think all of that is also reaching a very, very interesting point. So yeah, one of the most exciting times for our industry overall.
You spoke about quick commerce, and if I'm not mistaken, I read an interview recently where you said that a very large chunk of your operations will soon move to quick commerce, if not already. I think that number was about 30%. But with whatever's been happening, the strikes by the gig workers, the government saying this 10-minute promise shouldn't be stuck to, looked another way, it can actually be good for logistics companies because this gives them a breather. But how do you see the latest disruptions to this sector?
So first, I'd like to clarify, Anirban, that we've always vouched for rapid commerce, which is a distinction from quick commerce. Quick commerce is everything in minutes kind of a concept, only possible to be done through mass proliferation of these dark stores and a very, very high availability of these gig workers with almost no one-to-one alliance possible between, let's say, the principals, which is the companies, and the gig riders, right? And rapid commerce is the space where we see a more scalable, a more practical 2 to 4 hour same day, and even the ability to use the same inventory and capability and capacity to, if possible, deliver to the same city customers in a faster way, which could be 2 hours, 4 hours, same day, but also use the same inventory to reach out to important economic centers in and around the states where our centers would be present and be able to give a more faster next day delivery, 2-day delivery compared to the classical 3 to 5 day kind of delivery in e-commerce. And yes, I think I will connect that with the question that you've more pointedly asked about what's going on. In fact, our study, and this is more than 10, 11 months back when together with Boston Consulting Group, we came and we did a whole study and research on this whole space. We even published our white paper on it. And the reason we felt that rapid commerce is the model that possibly will find the right mix of convenience for consumers, yet scalability and fairness for the logistics operators is for that same reason, that beyond the point, you can try to get faster, but there comes a tipping point at which the efficiencies that you can possibly derive out of it the cost structures at which you need to do it, and the human points of conflict, or the human points at which it is just not going to be sustainable, because you can't keep driving at and no car can run at 150 kilometers per hour every day all the time, irrespective of the best road conditions that you might provide. So on a similar logical basis, we always felt that quick commerce is limited in the long run. At some point between technology and the consumer and the operators, which are the gig riders here, there will come points of friction, which some of which we are seeing right now. We believe that in the long run, rapid commerce will pick up quite well. More than a percentage number, I would say the speed at which it is going to be adopted, I think, will be exciting. It won't be at the same breakneck speed at, let's say, quick commerce would. But then again, everybody wants a more sustainable model. We are all for that.
Got it. Okay, tell me about hub and spoke models. I mean, are they dying, or is there a metamorphosis to hybrid networks? And how's DTDC sort of adapting?
See, I think, Anirban, we have to understand that the question about hub and spoke being disrupted came from this concept of whether quick commerce or rapid commerce and the need to go faster. As long as the larger B2B plus B2C, of which either traditional e-commerce or quick commerce both are a part, you will always still need the hub and spoke networks to move material in quantity in the lowest possible cost with efficiency to your customers, right? And let's say a typical dark store also needs to get fulfilled with products. That journey of that product cannot come to the dark store if you did not have the hub and spoke network. So the hub and spoke network is not going to disappear. What is going to happen is it's going to get augmented. The way in which automation and technology will be used inside it is going to start being more responsive. You will, of course, have a set of more intra-city, in-city facilities. We internally in DTDC, we don't call them dark stores, we call them dream stores, because we believe they are not just an isolated back-end kind of a facility. They are actually enmeshed with the rest of our network. In fact, more than 90% of DTDC's today's network of more than 40, 45 plus dream stores that we've created, they are actually co-located with our hubs and our service centers, or branches as we like to call them. Hybrid is not a wrong word to use. It's not a case of one or the other. I think you will have the classical hub and spoke, and DTDC is still invested and continuing to invest on its hub and spoke, along with the larger flavors of rapid commerce.
Now, Abhishek, tell me, you swung to a profit in according to your last. What led to that? And at a time when, fuel, labor, real estate costs are still climbing, how is a logistics player like DTDC able to protect its unit economics? What's really happening?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Your point is right. And I think I only want to add that probably what gets filed as our formal profits are also a combination of what the core business does, but also the investments that we make on some of our new age ideas. So yes, the transition or the period where we are seeing we've come back is more to do with the fact that we're now optimizing some of those investments. But yes, the fact still remains that we've always been very strong on our unit economics. And at the same time, unit economics have been seeing the greatest amount of pressure. It's the balance of the products and services that you offer that will allow you to maintain the right unit economics. I'm very sure that a balanced, integrated logistics play where you have ground transportation, air transportation, domestic, international, classic commerce, and now rapid commerce, I think it's a combination of that blended balance that allows us to use our assets, sweat our assets better, utilize our networks in a more efficient manner.
Was I right about the turnaround to swing to profit?
So there was a brief period in 2024 for a while our PAT was slightly suppressed, and that was because we made a few investments. Of course, 2024 had a few pressures overall from the market also. We saw that period when the Indian market overall probably did not see as much of growth. This year has been a different story. Also geopolitically, economy-wise, there are various other themes that are playing themselves out. But overall, we feel our unit economics are only getting stronger and stronger.
Got it. You spoke about new investments. Talk to me about those, and also tell me this whole tech influence in the field of logistics. Is it really a real efficiency unlock, or is it just expensive software? The AI routing, the predictive analysis, all of that. How's that working out for DTDC?
I think the first thing I'd talk about is in terms of our new capabilities, new investments. I think one, of course, yes, this whole play around rapid commerce and a faster way of reaching consumers, that has been certainly an area that we've chosen to invest quite a bit on. And I would say they are fairly reasonable investments, given that our scale has given us advantages where a completely new age startup company in this space would probably be doing 6 to 7 times more capital burn. Whereas for us, it's not so much of capital burn as much as we build the infrastructure and processes. And then at a unit level, we still make good returns. In fact, in the long run, rapid commerce returns should be no lesser than the higher end of the margin segment of the express business as a whole. Along with that, our international business, we've been working a lot to build out new products and services. And in some ways, that investment became a lot more necessary with the geopolitical changes that are going on. The classical trade routes obviously have had some impact. And we kind of sensed that or felt that from late 2024 itself, we knew the possibilities of tariffs and other systems would mean that certain lanes would be differently looked at. And therefore, we felt either through process or technology, do we want to scale up certain areas. And the other area, of course, was customer experience, how we engage with customers, how we provide information to them, the kind of analytics that we now give them self-service access to so that they don't even need to depend too much on internal human resources to get critical information. I think that those two or three fronts have been the big areas. And therefore, connecting to that, if I were to answer the question of is it hype or is it reality? See, I think technology always has gone through a hype cycle. You need to keep an eye on the hype. You need to probably play with the hype, but in a limited capacity where you see what the technology, new age technologies can do for you. But at the same time, you do your pilots and you do your testings with your live customers and your actual products to see how those different ideas are being accepted. So, I mean, if I were to say in the last 2 years that we've invested more aggressively on technology, AI, generative AI, I would say if we run 6 or 7 experiments, at least 2 or a little more than 2 of them do find commercial applications. Maybe 3 or 4 of them sometimes don't. But so far, we are quite happy to see that the 2 that do make it are making it at a big level. You know, their adoption rates are quite high. Just a case in point, we created our own generative AI through the name of DTDC Interactive Virtual Assistant. We call her Diva. This is not a chatbot. This is an actual true generative AI, large language model driven tool, which we exposed to our customers over the course of the last 3 to 4 quarters. And our latest results were very encouraging that more than 88% of their queries were completely handled by Diva or completely on our own without requiring any human agents to get involved. So yeah, that's just one example I'm giving you of how generative AI or similar disruptive machine learning, artificial intelligence technologies do have some hype in it. But if you play it right, if you do your pilots, you test it out with real customers, pick 2 or 3 out of the 6 or 7 projects that you do to be winners, you can get scale and you can get good results as well.
So from AI to EVs, we saw a lot of companies pushing for EVs in last mile delivery, but charging infrastructure is still limited, upfront costs are still high. Do the numbers really work yet? I mean, a lot of companies claim to be transforming their last mile delivery vehicles to EV in the next few years, but is that really going to happen? Is it realistic? And where is DTDC on that?
See, we have been proactive, but I won't say we have been aggressive in terms of deciding like lock, stock, barrel to move our entire fleet to EV. Let's be clear that the sustainability need and the mandate is, and probably for the foreseeable future, will be the main reason why large scale responsible companies would want to at least make sure some part of or a decent part of their fleet starts moving towards EV. And I'm still saying it's more last mile driven. Trucks of any serious scale are not yet there in EV technology that can be scaled up. Very, very small trucks can, but anything which starts exceeding ton of capacity, I think we are quite some distance away from seeing big scale coming in. But you're right. Is there homogeneous charging infrastructure? Is there enough scale? I think the passenger side of EVs have made far more progress. But on the commercial vehicle side, I think limited experiments, limited investments, even from the auto manufacturers themselves. To that extent, we as logistics players who use those vehicles have to also measure it against that. But in the long run, EVs will be coming in, or other alternate fuel-based technologies are also being looked at. So I'm bullish still that the government as well as the private market will find its feet and get going. Maybe the pace has been a little bit underwhelming, but I don't think we should completely give up on it.
Would you tell me which geographies you're in right now?
Physically, we are in 7 countries. We are in Canada, USA, UK, UAE, Singapore, Malaysia, and Australia. But yes, along with our partners, which is Geopost. So together with them, also the European market is something we have quite a strong presence in. And in the coming years, especially in the next 12 to 18 months, we'll be seeing a lot of work happening to grow more in that space.
Okay. Finally, Abhishek, where do you think the next growth cycle will come from? Two-prong question. And the other one is 2 to 3 challenges that you see affecting DTDC and the sector in the next year.
Yeah, a very interesting question and something we've been reflecting on a lot because with a couple of months to go for the financial year to end and a new year to begin. I think the next wave of growth is definitely split into two parts. I think India is looking at a real focus on truly maximizing its domestic demand. The tier 2, tier 3 demand, tier 4 demand as well is really, really picked up. Even in rapid commerce today, I would say for every one dream store that I'm opening in a metropolitan or a top 20 city, I probably am doing 1.5 dream stores in the tier 2, tier 3 markets. It's obviously a larger part of the country. The fact that a lot of money is now available in those markets and they want to express themselves, they want to spend it, they want to have the same choices as the metropolitan urban markets. I think that has really picked up. I think that's going to be a good bet to make on. I also feel that international, I think in this difficult period of these laws or regulations changing, people have realized all the more why it's important for a nation and for its sellers and exporters and manufacturers to really look at creating capability to export, creating capability to have outbound trade. I think they'll be important bets. Last, if I might just add, tying all these bets would be, I feel, how generative AI, how machine learning, and especially the agentic part of it will be leveraged to find solutions. I think that's the way I would put my bets. In terms of challenges, I would say first, the feeling of a sort of a unorganized unionization of gig workers trying to tell us or give a message. It's not something anybody should ignore. And I think the government has said that they really want to take it head on. The final go live of the labor code means that there will be changes happening there. So it'll be a wait and watch year. It'll be a year in which companies will be having to rewrite some of their rules. It means we have to be ready to have pay parity. We'll have to invest. So while that could it lead to cost increases for companies? At the first level, yes. But at the second level, it is all the more incentivizing us to therefore continue to find solutions, automation, innovation possible so that we can bring efficiencies in other parts of our business. So how will companies tackle that? How will DTDC try to tackle that? I think it's a very positive challenge that I'm really looking forward to. And last but not the least, if you take away the blue collar segment, yes, talent, leadership talent, managerial talent, innovative talent will be now hunted. It's been hunted now for a long while. Post COVID, it's only gone up every year because we are looking at a very, very golden age of logistics and overall growth of the economy. It needs solutions, it needs capabilities, but that needs smart and intelligent minds to be working along with us for that. So I see that also as a challenge that everybody should look to address.
Okay. Abhishek, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Anirban. Take care.
Abhishek's bet: fast enough to satisfy, slow enough to survive. 3 inflection points stand out. India's smallest cities are growing 2.5x faster than metros in spending power. Stable workforces will sustain over-disposable gig labor when regulations tighten. And selective tech deployment beats chasing every shiny tool. Turns out, in the delivery wars, winning might mean knowing when not to race. That's it for today. You were listening to this episode in the Morning Brief. It was produced by me and Vinay Joshi, sound designed by Indranil Bhattacharjee. A new episode of the Morning Brief drops every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. Also listen to Corner Office Conversation on Mondays and ET in the Valley on Wednesdays on your favorite listening platform. Stay tuned.